Fantasy Philosophers is brought to you by fantasy-info.com.
The Scarecrow from The Wizard of Oz only needed a brain to change his life around and make things more productive for himself. Sebastian Janikowski only needs an offense to make him one of the perennial kickers in fantasy football these days, as last year he converted 15 field goals from 40 plus. He was 6 of 8 from 50 plus, and he even banged home a 61-yarder in Cleveland in December. If that doesn't show you Janikowski still has his big leg, I don't know what else does. The problem for Janikowski is that his offense was so measly last year that he only had 17 PATs. 17 PATs. That's absurd. It's one of the worst in football. He was 26 of 29 in his field goal conversions. And remember, 2 of those 3 misses were from 50 plus, and the other one was from 40 plus. So he was 8 of 8 from the in the 30 range, 3 of 3 in the 20 range, 9 of 10 in the 40 range. This guy, all of a sudden, not only does he have the big leg, but he's starting to convert in accuracy with that big leg. And that makes him a very dangerous man, especially if you're in leagues that are giving good inflated points for long distance kicks. He's a guy that you want to definitely keep an eye on. And here's the reason why I think Janikowski is worth owning in fantasy this year, not just because of the big leg, but because I truly do believe that the Raiders' offense is getting better. Their offensive line, they may not have picked up household names in the draft last year, but they got some good, tough, gritty, gutty guys on that line coming into this team this year, and that can only help this team. Remember, they lost Gallery for just about all last season. He's coming back, so he should help the offensive line as well. But I think the biggest difference is that, last year, Jamarcus Russell was just demoralizing to this team. The fact that he just continually come in overweight, maybe he's a nice guy. Maybe he looks you in the hand and shakes your hand and everything's nice. But I think that may be more just Southern hospitality than it is maybe him even being that nice of a guy. Bottom line is, he didn't craft himself. We all know he didn't craft himself to be anything of a good quarterback in the NFL. He didn't take care of his body, and that's why he's not on that team anymore. But, the big thing to me is, as demoralizing as Jamarcus Russell was, should be as a big a breath of fresh air as Jason Campbell is now. Campbell's not the greatest of quarterbacks in this league. And yes, he does need good protection consistently to be a productive, consistent player in an offense. He has skills. He was a first-round draft pick. But he's going to make a big impact on this team, not just for his production, not just for his leadership, but, just the way that he's a professional. And there's no doubting that. There's no denying that. Look at the way that he handled the situation. I think last year when the team was talking about trading for Jay Cutler, he handled himself like a pro. I gave him a lot of credit for the way he carried himself. And unfortunately, the Redskins, they just didn't have any shred of an offensive line to really give him an opportunity to shine in that offense, in my opinion. Jason Campbell, that should really help this team. I also do like the fact that, as much as I like Justin Fargas, I do like the fact that they released him, because I think that having 3 running backs here the last couple seasons has really given this team no running back, in a sense that, last year you look at all 3 of those guys, I think for actually the last couple years, Michael Bush, Darren McFadden, and Justin Fargas, they've all got somewhere around 120 carries each. And I'm sorry, that's just not enough carries for any one running back to really get into a flow and start, creating chemistry with the offensive line. All those things that come with it. It's just not enough carries. It's not enough to really, be that productive. Keeps flipping running backs. So at least they've got it narrowed down to 2 running backs right now. It looks like they're going with Michael Bush for now as their lead guy. But whoever they choose, both of those guys are going to get more touches this season in the offense, and I think that's going to help them get more of a flow going, and definitely for the offensive line, it's going to help them get more timing and rhythm down with their running backs and how they kind of like to maneuver around and run the football. These things should all lead to success for Sebastian Janikowski. I do believe fully that he can make a good run here at around 30 plus PATs for this season. Hey, that's not a ton more points, but it gets you back into that respectability area for that area, and that starts to make Janikowski. And I think also he's a guy that could make a run for 30 plus field goals this year. Why? Because the defense is definitely improved this offseason. They have really come out and done some good things for their defense this year, going and getting Cameron Wembley. They go out and get Ronaldo McClain, the big middle linebacker, who I think is more of an aggressor type guy, more of a leadership type guy that they needed in that position. They've gone out, they've made some improvements on the defensive line. I really like what I see here with the Raiders and their defensive additions. And, playing better defense, that should lead to, more opportunities to stay in games, and that means they're going to kick with Janikowski. Another thing you have to love with Janikowski is that Tom Cable has, it looks to me, he has full-on confidence that Janikowski can make kicks. That is such a big deal for a kicker. Not only do you have the big leg, but now he's got the accuracy, and he's got full trust from his coach that he can go out and make 60-yard field goals. And, there ain't nobody in any kicker out there that's got that kind of leverage, that kind of pull from their coaching staff as Janikowski does. And it's a good fit because they need him to kick field goals. They need to capitalize on opportunities when they can get them. And they have the type of defense that, hey, if they miss it, they feel like they can hold the line. And I think there's a lot of times they will be able to hold the line. And there's going to be a lot of times, based on the accuracy that Janikowski's showing these days, that he's going to bang it home. So look for Janikowski as a guy. I think, again, if you get inflated points for distance kicks, this is a guy you need to keep your eye on as the Raiders are improving as a team overall.
For more fantasy football information, go to fantasy-info.com and sign up for our free e-newsletter. Good luck in your 2010 Fantasy Football League. As an added bonus, the Fantasy Info guys will include their 5 secret tips for success in fantasy football.